Peace and blessings, family. Welcome back to another episode of Learn with Shavern. On today's episode, we're going to discuss self-care. Before we get into that, I absolutely have to address some fun facts because there's been a lot of things going on in the news lately. There's been a whole bunch of things with like the elections and stuff. In Florida, I know they recently elected to have felons are able to vote now, so kudos for that. That's a wonderful thing. Felons don't get a lot of opportunities out here, and unfortunately, at the disproportionate rate that a lot of people are incarcerated of certain ethnicities and races, this is good for them. That's a new right. Please do exercise your right to vote, guys. In the future, ever, if you're able to vote, now there's no reason. You definitely want to vote because, especially for my melanated people out here, we're like an amendment away from being slaves. So you absolutely want to exercise your rights as much as possible when they are available to you. If you're not familiar with what you're voting on, educate yourself. I mean, that ties into what we're talking about today with self-care, educating yourself, taking care of your full self. Something that's like really interesting. So Facebook apparently pulled a anti-immigration ad. It was a racist anti-immigration ad for Trump. Now, what was interesting about it was supposedly they're claiming that this ad was ran in error, right? And the fact that they pulled it, but by the time they pulled it had already received like over millions and millions of views. And so it kind of devoided the point of them pulling it because millions of people had already seen the ad. They were targeting voters specifically in Florida and Arizona. So I thought that was super interesting because that whole politics thing is nothing but a game. But if you observe it the right way, you'll see how they play it. And we are part of it, okay? Individual civilians, we are the pawns of this chess match. And you absolutely want to exercise your right to vote, your right to carry, if you can carry in the state that you live in. You want to exercise as many rights that you have available to you and educate yourself on those rights. So now jumping into today's topic of self-care. Self-care, I cannot begin to stress enough. It is absolutely the most important rule when it comes to laws of attraction. Okay? Your vessel is your everything. So if your vessel is breaking down, everything outside of it is also going to break down. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, everything starts within first. If you're trying to resolve any area of your life, I cannot stress enough how it begins within. If there's chaos going on in your life currently, that's because there's chaos currently going on within. So you need to battle that first. Before you start putting a Band-Aid on a broken limb, address the fact that you have a broken limb first. How did that happen? Address how did you end up in this current situation? Because that observation, observing that, is exactly the solution to your answer. Now you're able to correct that same issue within yourself. Therefore, it'll manifest into its own reality. So I know I mentioned maybe in my 6th or 10th episode about how we are electromagnetic beings, right? So the electrical part of your body is your heart. Peep game. You ever notice when someone has a heart attack and they use a defibrillator, it's electrical to give the electrical energy back to your heart? Okay. The magnetic portion of your body is your brain. Hence where the laws of attraction come in, because whatever you think about, your brain now magnetizes and attracts. What do magnets do? It attracts things to it, right? If you guys got a magnet in your house, go ahead and get a magnet and a couple paper clips. Each of those paper clips are your thought. The magnet is your brain. So the magnetism within you creates your external reality. Once you think about something, think about how you feel about it. The feeling plus the thoughts together, therefore, will manifest whatever it is that you want. And it has to be a sincere feeling. It can't just be, okay, I want to be a millionaire. All right, cool. Well, how are you going to do that? Because you can have the feeling and a thought, but without the applied action is therefore a dream. You have to be able to implement and put in place the things that you want to manifest for yourself. the things that you want to create for yourself, because you have the absolute ability to do it. You know, these I call them superpowers, right? And my ability, we all are superpower. We all have superpowers. We're all super beings. A lot of us have been conditioned to think that powerful things are outside of us. Powerful things are external. You know, if you are a science fiction fan or you enjoy watching comic book characters, or playing video games or anything like that, if you like things like that, it's a little bit easier for you to kind of use your imagination, because you see what others created, right? If your art is somewhere else, maybe you're not into video games or comic books or cartoons or anything like that. Maybe your art is elsewhere, because again, we all have different superpowers. I cannot observe one of my third self superpowers and say, oh man, I wish I can do that. Well, you can. There is nothing like, believe, at some point in time, I started discrediting people, or my third selves, I started discrediting them. So what I mean by that, I started taking away, oh, well, this person is this certain title, they must be so much smarter than me. I stopped thinking like that. And I started saying, man, this person is this title. I wonder what they did to achieve that. Maybe there are similar steps I can take to maybe mimic that and implement that want into my own journey. But I must first correct whatever it is that's within me that is blocking me from achieving that higher self, or that higher ascension in life in general, right? So, you know, stop procrastinating. Stop saying to yourself you can't do things. Stop telling yourself, well, tomorrow you're going to implement X, Y, and Z. Stop telling yourself, okay, well, this weekend or the first of the year or the new year, I'm going to do a new me type of thing. Like, all that stuff is so played out. If there's anything you're going to change, you might as well change it right now. While you're watching this, if you find that you reside in a negative behavior, if you find that things are not working out favorably for you, change that. Take care of yourself. For my ladies out there, you know, alter something in your budget that can create the ability for you to do your self-care, no matter what that is. If it entails you getting a massage, if that includes you getting your hair done, your nails done, whatever it is, you would have to sacrifice something in order to create the income for that, right? If especially a lot of people, or majority of people, actually live check to check. So if you live check to check, one of the ways to kind of maneuver around that is maybe saying, okay, well, this month I'm going to pay maybe a little bit extra on this bill, so then it'll free up maybe another check where I will have that extra couple dollars. And research places, man, there's so many vendors out here. Research places, things like getting your eyebrows done. Maybe you learn how to do your own wax. You know, there's a lot of talented sisters out here who know how to do makeup and hair and all of that. Find yourself a good deal. For my fellas, I feel like you guys are the number one people that neglect yourselves. So for some reason, I find it's so common for guys to lack in self-care. It is not overly feminine for men to get a manicure, pedicure, right? To just get that massage, the oils that they put on your hands. You don't got to put nail polish and all of that stuff on. It's not manly to go care for yourself. It is okay to care for yourself by yourself. That is very healthy for you. Self-care, once you learn to center yourself and love you at 100% maximum capacity, like if this is my vessel, right, and I drank some of this water, but if this is my vessel here, my self-love needs to be filled all the way to the top, because I can't be empty down here and then decide that I want to attract somebody else. I'm not going to attract something that's like this, that's like my vessel, right? I'm going to attract things I don't want. Maybe I'm going to sit here and attract something that's opposite of me or doesn't quite fit, it doesn't match up. This is not what I wanted. I say that I want all these things, but maybe my self-love is not quite filled up for me to attract quite what I need to match up. So fellas, ladies, you know, take care of yourself, love yourself, treat yourself. If your self-love includes you just doing a weekend of nothing, literally just like sitting in your house all day, or maybe your weekend consists of you doing the opposite because you are a homebody. Maybe you have your whole weekend of going out, or your free time you decide to go out. Do something different, change it up, but do something that caters to you loving you, because that is so important. Without you, nothing else moves, nothing else happens, you know, and there's no better time than like right now. You might as well. What are you waiting for, right? Because you're amazing. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, positive, productive day. And remember, all the power is within you to do everything that you need. You really don't need to go on your knees begging for anything outside of you to be great. The greatness is already in you. Look in the mirror. That is where you're great.